Coming up in this fall edition of Inside Bellingham, we'll catch up with Mayor Dan Pike and the priorities of his administration. And we'll ride along with Bellingham police officer Rob Brandlin as he demonstrates new technology to help police identify stolen vehicles faster. And we'll take a look at a continuing program to help kids improve their reading skills, as well as spend quality time with K9 buddies and adults. And Sergeant Keith Johnson shows us how the new Bellingham anti-crime team will be working to prevent crime in our neighborhoods. All this and more coming up next, right here on Inside Bellingham. Hi, I'm Laura Greenfield, and this is Elizabeth Park over in the Columbia neighborhood. This land was donated to the city in 1884 by Henry Roeder. The park is named for his wife, Elizabeth. Today, it's Bellingham's oldest and among our most charming neighborhood parks. Its inviting, shady spaces are made possible by an impressive collection of stately, mature hardwood trees. Its grand wooden gazebo is used for live music and small summer weddings. It's a classic, very classy park right near downtown. The Bellingham Police Department recently received a $29,000 grant from the Washington Auto Theft Prevention Authority. They used the grant to pay for the Mobile Plate Hunter 900. This is the latest in stolen vehicle recovery technology. It can check up to 900 plates per minute as it helps police search for wanted persons or stolen vehicles. We asked Lieutenant Bill Slodowsko and Officer Rob Brandlin to show us how this system works.
This is an automated license plate reading system, or ALPR. It can read plates and compare them against the database of over 200,000 stolen and wanted plates that are in the NCIC database. That's something that's maintained by the FBI, and that's where all the local agencies enter their stolen vehicles, their wanted vehicles, their Amber Alert vehicles. So this is capable of quickly comparing several thousand license plates per shift. This is very effective at that task of checking for stolen vehicles. Besides being able to compare many, many more plates during a shift, it's also much less intrusive because it does not run a registration on every plate.
Well, it's all automated, so I don't have to do any manual entry of license plates. I can pay attention to the road and the traffic and let the computer do all the work.
For the next portion, you'll be riding with Officer Rob Brandlin, who will show you how this system works.
Here is the image that the camera captures as a whole, and it's telling us that the left rear camera took this picture and it's reading this vehicle. Then it zooms in and takes a zoomed in picture of the license plate of the vehicle and lists that down here in the read list. And then it scans that license plate number against a database to check for stolen. With the system, you can program or check which vehicles you want to be alerted to. You can have them look for stolen vehicles, stolen plates, suspended registration. You can customize it for whatever you want to be looking for out there.
Another way that we can use this tool is if there is a major crime where we might send a couple of officers out to write down the plates in a certain radius of this particular crime for analysis later. This allows us to, in a matter of a few minutes, drive around that crime scene and capture those plates so that we may use that for analysis to see if perhaps a suspect plate is in that area.
One of the screens you can review the reads that you've made or the license plates that you've scanned. So we go to reports. I put in the time period that I want to review. If I put in 11:30 till noon on today's date, and I can look for alarms that I've hit on, alarms that I've hit on and rejected, or I can just simply scan for all of the license plates that I've read. Hit search, and there's all the list of all the license plates that we've read in the last half an hour. And you can scroll through, and it'll show me the picture of the vehicle and the license plate that we scanned, which camera scanned it, and the latitude and longitude of the location where that vehicle was scanned. You can go back for days. We could do yesterday's, we could do last month.
With respect to efficiency in a climate where we have fewer resources, especially right now with the economy, this is a great tool because it allows us to do much more work with less time commitment for an officer.
You can find out more about the Bellingham Police Department at www.cob.org/police. Policing our neighborhoods is about much more than the newest technology. It's about people and the ways we interact. It's about proactive crime-fighting measures and police presence. In this regard, the Bellingham Police Department recently initiated a new crime-fighting team. We asked Sergeant Keith Johnson to tell us about this new team and what they're doing that's different and better for our neighborhoods.
Neighborhood Anti-Crime Team is a team that was developed to proactively address ongoing problems that are happening in the neighborhoods throughout Bellingham. Vehicle prowls, burglaries, thefts. If we get complaints, we'd be involved in prostitution, loud party houses in a neighborhood that are an ongoing problem.
This, basically, when you have a party at your house, you're responsible for what goes on here. If we do have to come back here tonight, there's a very good possibility you'll probably go to jail.
Are you joking me?
Your number is 45.
There weren't any new officers hired to fill this team. It was a reallocation of some resources that were in other places. It's just a different method or a different philosophy of approaching, fighting crime. We're going for the long-term fix instead of the short-term. We tailor our response to the type of crime we're addressing, including marked patrol cars and uniforms. We utilize mountain bikes quite a bit to do trails downtown, city parks. We do plainclothes to put people under surveillance, to watch locations that we think something bad might happen. So we're looking for this guy. He's got a domestic violence related warrant, which tells us that he's dangerous to whoever he's in a relationship with. So we actively pursue those guys and try to pick them up. So that includes paying house calls, and sometimes we get them, sometimes we don't.
Anything going on over here?
Quiet is quiet.
The neighborhood anti-crime team has the time to proactively address some of these issues so they don't keep coming up.
Thank you.
There's reactive policing, which is responding to 911 calls or being flagged down on the street, versus proactive, where we are looking at certain suspects, certain areas, and trying to address that problem before it happens, or to prevent it from happening again. So in this instance, we had a habitual offender that had been away for a while.
You just headed southbound. Anybody got the Okay, you may see him crossing right now then.
Yeah, 8082, he's not crossed yet.
Copy. Hang out. There he is. I'm in Acquiesce. He's crossing Grant right now.
And we wanted to find out where he was staying and who he was associating with in case we need to find him here in the near future. So we assembled the ACT team, did a follow from where we had picked him up to the location where he ended up, and now we have that. We know kind of who he's hanging out with and a good place to check for him should his name pop up. There's also a kind of, it's an ongoing but very small scale problem with prostitution in town, a lot of it stemming from online services. So in this case, we've contacted a gal online, set up to meet her for some sort of act of prostitution. So right now we're just waiting for the gal and advise the arrest team that they can come in and make the arrest. We arrived up at the hotel. We were tipped off that there was a gentleman in the parking lot that looked like he was maybe waiting around for somebody. He said that he was a friend of alleged prostitute and nothing more, just happened to be out in the parking lot. He was driving her car, and we asked if we could look through the car, make sure there were no weapons or drugs or anything like that in there. He said that was fine, and went ahead and checked the car, didn't find anything. We didn't have anything to really tie him to what she was doing there, and so we went ahead and kicked him loose. We have another Craigslist posting. Again, young lady offering her services in exchange for money. So we're gonna head up to the meet location as arranged by her. Sometimes the question arises, why do we focus on prostitution? There are a number of reasons actually. The first is we receive complaints about it. The second is that there are other crimes that are associated with prostitution. Drugs, domestic disputes, rapes, things like that, and we're hoping that by discouraging Bellingham as a place where prostitution occurs, that we can avoid some of the peripheral crimes as well.
Remember, you can always find out more about Bellingham Police and their programs 24 hours a day at www.cov.org/police. When you're a kid and you need to practice your reading skills, it's always more fun to have someone who will listen to you, a friend to share your stories with, a buddy who won't be too critical about your reading skills, like say a dog for instance. We heard about a program sponsored by the library and the Humane Society that has kids reading books to dogs. It's called Dog Day Afternoon. We took a stroll over to the library to find out more.
I tried to stay calm, but ended up half walking, half running toward the door, brushing past a teacher. Had she seen the clock before I had she known time was short and chosen to tell me, hoping that...
We've been doing this program, the Dog Day Afternoon program, for about 6 years now. It's been a great success. We've had children from the time they were in first grade up until, I believe, 5th grade now.
I read with Toby every single time except for once.
Oh, so you and Toby get along?
The littles were up early as general rule. He also examined Stuart's chest and heart and looked into his ears solemnly with a flashlight.
It does take a special dog to participate in the Dog Day Afternoon reading program. They have to be, as I like to put it, kid tested and approved and semi-mellow enough to come sit in a library and have youngsters read to them. Several of these dogs were at one point shelter dogs, and then they were adopted. Others were obtained via breeders or other rescue groups, but they are all loved and living in permanent, responsible and loving homes, and their jobs are to come here and help kids learn to read.
I just read, may I please have a cookie, and I finished the 3 Little Pigs.
You know, the great thing about this program, especially at this library, is we see so many repeat kids come back, and now we're seeing the children as they grow older bring their younger siblings to participate in the program, and we have several dogs who are kind of like rock stars. The kids request to read to them. Some of the kids like the little dogs, and then other kids like the bigger, the hairier, the better. So it really just depends on the dog and the kid.
Does Toby seem to like this?
Toby loves it.
Toby loves it. It's his 4th or 5th year.
Yes. And Sadie's a rescue dog. She comes from the Humane Society. So I would say that, can you sit please? This is kind of her way of giving back.
Children just need to contact the library. We have a waiting list that we write their names on if they're interested in doing the next time.
Or the Wild Island Rose.
We do need to know that the kids are reading on their own and are comfortable with dogs and reading to the dogs for half an hour at a time.
Fred's room was upstairs. Ted's room was downstairs. The poor darling, he's been stung on the nose by a bee. Oh,
The requirements we have to join the Whatcom Volunteers volunteer team as one of our readers here in the library is, of course, the dogs must be spayed or neutered, fully vaccinated, and have attended some positive reward-based obedience training, and of course be kid-friendly.
And I really enjoy coming because I think it's a great way for the kids to get involved in reading. And in fact, I had one mother tell me that her child would only read to me and her teacher, so I thought that was really great.
We have wonderful fun here at the Fairhaven Library with this Dog Day Afternoon program. Children just need to contact the library. We have a waiting list that we write their names on if they're interested in doing the next time. They seem to enjoy it a lot.
You can find out a great deal more about events for kids of all ages at the Bellingham Library website at www.bellinghampubliclibrary.org. And learn more about the Whatcom Humane Society at www.whatcomhumane.org. Like so many communities, state and nationwide, Bellingham continues to feel the effects of an unprecedented economic downturn. Revenues in most city funds continue to decline. We talked to Mayor Pike about how the economy is shaping the city's work and his confidence in Bellingham's ability to thrive despite these challenging times.
Well, city finances are in the news as we struggle, as do our colleagues in cities and counties across the country, to work with a very challenging budget environment. You know, the city has just had to lay off a number of employees. That was a very difficult decision. It's typical of the types of hard decisions that I've been having to make for really the past year as we try to figure out how to maintain the capacity to provide vital services to our community while making sure that our revenues and our expenditures are more closely in alignment with each other. This isn't a problem that affects only the general fund. While the general fund was the first fund to be impacted because of the sales tax revenue, which is the largest component of our tax base, the reality is that over the past year, the other funds have, if you will, caught up to the general fund in exhibiting stress from the current economic situation. So right now it goes across our enterprise funds. Sometimes things happen in ways that are a little bit less intuitive. So for example, where people might think that our water fund would always be healthy, the fact is that a lot of our water expansion our water plant expansion that needs to happen was expected to be funded out of hookup fees. Well, if nobody is able to afford to build new residences, or if they can't get the financing to build those residences, those hookup fees dry up. And as a result, our water fund, that enterprise fund, is drying up. And so we are no longer providing the inputs into that fund that we were anticipating to fund the plant expansions that are needed. I think one of the keys to effective leadership is to recognize that at times like this, it's more important than ever to plan for the future, to focus on key initiatives that can help you get out of a situation sooner rather than later, and to provide for the long-term health and vibrancy of Bellingham as a community. So, for example, one of the things that we've worked on is we've been continuing to emphasize the waterfront redevelopment. That's important not just because in 2 or 3 years we'll have development that'll help our sales tax, our B&O tax, and our property tax bases, but because it also opens up opportunities, for example, for competitive grants that will put people to work in the very near term. We're also continuing our focus on Lake Whatcom, where, for example, we have extended the Silver Beach Ordinance to all of the city property in the lake. Those protections are very real and meaningful, and also provide a template for other jurisdictions such as the county to consider as they look at what they might do to further strengthen the protections they already have in place for our shared watershed. We're also working on the lake to try to address some of the issues that have happened, for example, this summer when we had an algae bloom that was very challenging for us to deal with. We're going to continue to be a place that people want to move to. Our responsibility as a government and as a community is to try to make sure that as that growth happens, we plan for it in a way that continues to make us a stronger community economically, financially, and from a perspective of our community of people. You know, basically embracing the triple bottom line approach that has become embedded in the psyche of Bellingham as a community. And I know that we'll do that. This is an opportunity, as I said, for us to rethink how we do some things and to become stronger as a community, both in how we do things, but also in recognizing that we need to rely more on each other than perhaps we have in the past. And I think that makes us a stronger community as well.
Mayor Pike says careful strategic planning and pushing forward on key initiatives are key as he manages city government during these difficult economic times. For more information about the city's budget or to reach the mayor's office, visit the city's website at www.cob.org or email mayorsoffice@cob.org. Kids are headed back to school on our streets and sidewalks, so be careful out there. They don't always look before crossing the street or hopping on their bikes. Go slow and be extra cautious. If you have thoughts about this show or others on BTV10, we'd like to hear from you. You can reach us through our website or directly via email. Don't forget to get outside during these last summer days and enjoy the great environment in our community. Thanks for watching. I'm Laura Greenfield.